I think it's difficult to compare. We just played one competitive match. They have some good games. When I was the game against Seville, and they've been together for a long time. It's a really strong squad, a manager and coaching staff that they've been doing a fantastic job. As we all know, huge experience in the league, and it's always really difficult against them. Thank you.
Mikel, the game's 3 o'clock kick-off. I think it's going to hit 34, 35 degrees at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. How much of a worry is that?
It's the conditions and the context of the game. We have to adapt to it. We know that we're going to have the water break and get the players in the best possible condition to adapt to it, and that's it. Play the game that we want to play.
You wouldn't change the approach to a game because of that?
We have to obviously adapt, and players would have to be ready mentally as well to play in those conditions, because it's not something that we do normally. We have the 5 stops as well, which is very, very helpful. So it's a combination of facts.
Yeah, how important is that going to be, do you think, the 5 stops?
I think it will be really important. I think it's really helpful. I think it gives the squad, players individually, many more chances and hope to participate in football matches. And I think now it's educating players as well that not playing 90 minutes is not an issue, especially when you have so many games in the season.
Documentary update last night clearly showed how concerned you were about the culture of the club around this time a year ago. Are you now content with the culture of the club, with the changes that have been made?
I am really happy with where we are and the people we have at the club, the professional we have at the club, and what we are building. So I could not be happier with that.
Any regrets at all about the moment and the handling of the stripping of Aubameyang captaincy?
Listen, it's a long time since that happened. I cannot go back every time there is another series. I have made my comments on that. I was really clear and honest with my opinion, and what is being done is always been done to defend our club and put the club in the best possible position, and being always as clear, as honest, and as consistent as we can.
Referred to in the episode last night, which I'm sure you have time to see, the dossier, the file that you kept about his misdemeanors and his timekeeping. I referred to it jokingly at the start there, but have you had any requests from Chelsea to have a look at that file?
Oba is an exceptional player. He did so much for us. He was our captain, and I think we have to be grateful, very grateful as well, for what he did for this club.
So if he does come back to the Premier League and comes back to the Emirates, you feel he'll get a good reception?
I hope he does, because I think he deserves that. There are moments in life, there are moments in your career, and sometimes the trajectories or the objective of each individual is different to the clubs, and you have to respect that.
I won't ask you numerous questions about potential incomings that we read about. You've done good business so far this window, but in terms of outgoings, you mentioned there that you had Mari leave the club this week. Any more going out before the window closes?
Well, we have Bernd as well. We had Lucas Torreira, so there were a few. Obviously, we had Flo Malagan going on loan as well. We had moved the squad a lot, and we are still willing to finalize the squad the way we want. We can add in something great, but as well there are a few players as well that we have to find the right game time for them, because at the moment I think it's going to be difficult.
Kieran Tierney to City is not one that you've heard about?
No, and you know that I'm not going to be commenting on individual cases.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George?
Mikel, hello. I just wonder, have you had to change anything this week in terms of, because it's been so hot with the heat wave, about training, or have you just carried on as normal?
But in this country, we never get it right. When it's rainy and cloudy, it's always raining and cloudy. When it's hot, it's too hot. So we have to say, listen, 23 degrees, a little bit of shadows, and a nice breeze, and then we are all happy. So we just trained. We have to adapt to the conditions. We knew that on Saturday it's going to be boiling hot, and we have to train that conditions to get up to speed.
You mentioned the culture of the club and how happy you are with it now. How different was it to when you took over, and why was it so different? Why was it so low, possibly?
It was the club's main objective at the beginning to try to completely change that and create, installed, and make people that are participating on a daily basis with the club proud, happy, and accountable for their jobs. And I think we have that, and I think you can see that level of commitment and passion transmitted to our supporters, and that's why at the moment there is such a unity at the club.
For me, Arsenal have gone to a new level. The three boys that have come into the team, and Gabriel Jesus, he's a world-class striker, and you just see how he goes about his work, his focus, his hunger, his desire, and his quality, and has given Mikel the tools to play probably how he really wants to play, and they've had a good pre-season and obviously started well against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, Arsenal have started the season rather well, haven't they? The only Premier League side with a 100% record in pre-season as well. And then they backed that up on the opening night of the season as well, Jermaine, with that 2-0 victory against Crystal Palace. How impressed were you with them?
Very. They look calm, composed. They look energised. They look fit. They look like they're a team playing with the utmost confidence. Everybody seems happy and they all seem to be singing off the same hymn sheet as well. I feel like Mikel Arteta has done absolute wonders with re-galvanising a squad that looked like they were almost devoid of ideas when Aubameyang left the club. But they've been a breath of fresh air. You can tell with the youth they have, the confidence they're playing with is electric. And I'm really genuinely excited to see where they're going to take it this season.
Fair few new signings as well, Darren. Who impressed you out of their new signings in that opening match?
Well, I could tell you who impressed me out in pre-season in America, because I saw Arsenal beat Chelsea in Florida. And even then, Gabriel Jesus looked like he's going to be a super addition for them. Listen, I'll defer to you in terms of how to score goals, but his movement was exceptional. His work rate was off the charts. And even then, there was a little Mexican wave of eyebrows, because we thought to ourselves, in the press box, we knew he was good. But he really does look to be the answer to the goal-scoring problem that they've had for the past couple of seasons. How easy is it to transform that form from pre-season into the main event, if you like?
Relatively straightforward, because you're playing football and you're getting to know the players around you. So what tends to come naturally is your sharpness, your movement, and the understanding from your teammates as well. So they see you making certain movements. And after a while, pre-season is there for that reason, especially. They understand when you go long to come short, I have to punch the ball into it really, really quickly. Now, his movement, his ability, I didn't realise he was as good or as sharp as he is, but he looks special. He looks like, I think I'm not the only one thinking it, the missing link in Arsenal's team.
I'll tell you one other quick thing. So when I saw them in pre-season, they beat Chelsea. The guys who had been following Arsenal, I'd been following Chelsea, and the boys who'd been following Arsenal said to us, look, when you see this team play, you'll understand just how good they are. 5 goals in 7 pre-season matches for Jesus. But it was the manner of the all-round team performance. No Tomiyasu, remember, in the pre-season game, and he wasn't in the first game. No Tierney as well. There is some talk he may go to City, but for the time being, he's still very much an Arsenal player, and he wasn't in there. And no Smith Rowe either. And yet the movement was terrific. The passing was fantastic. The manner of the goals and the way they took them was fantastic. And they took it into that Palace game. And if you contrast that with Leicester and their first game where they conceded 2 goals against Brentford, I can see Arsenal scoring 3 or 4 goals tomorrow.
Well, they certainly got off to a good scoring start with Martinelli on the score sheet. Do you think actually sometimes, from a striker's perspective, you bring in a new big signing up top in Jesus, that will only encourage Martinelli to score more goals?
It could work both ways, to be honest. I've seen players crumble when they've seen other players coming in, because the competition, they know how good they are. So they kind of cower away from it. However, Martinelli just looks like he's so excited to play football. He looks like a young kid, doesn't he? He looks like when I was 12, 13, 14 years old and I would do anything to get on the football pitch and play football. That's exactly what he looks like. And he's working really well with the players around him. It looks like
I hope his injury issues clear up, because if they do, he could be a real asset for the club. But he was very staccato last season and the season before. He was in, he was out, and just when he looked as though he was going to pick up a bit of form, suddenly you lost him again. If he can sort that out, they could have so many points of attack. As
for Schmeichel out, no new players into the club in this transfer window. They're the only Premier League side not to sign anyone since the end of last season. How much will that frustrate the fans and Brendan Rodgers, Darren?
Oh, there are dark clouds over the King Power Stadium. Yuri Tielemans won't sign a new deal either. Wesley Fofana wants to go to Chelsea. It's an open secret, so I'm sure he won't mind me saying it here. I think as far as Yannick Vestergaard is concerned, they do actually want to get him out, but he rejected an £11 million move to Fulham. And there is a lot of concern because it doesn't. James Maddison, I haven't even got to him, and the interest in him from clubs like Newcastle and one or two others. So there are real concerns about the club, and if you marry that with the fact they've kept only one clean sheet in the Premier League in their last 26 games, it tells you that that's a recipe for a big scoreline tomorrow, potentially at the Emirates Stadium.
You mentioned already as well, Darren, that last week they were 2-0 up against Brentford and they let that 2-goal lead slip, Jermaine. In fact, since the start of last season, only Newcastle and Southampton have dropped more points from winning positions. Do you sense a vulnerability when you watch Leicester? A
little bit. Brendan Rodgers is a fantastic manager, and I've got the utmost respect for him. It just seems like there is a link missing, and with Kasper Schmeichel leaving as well, that leader at the back, he's going to be somebody that's going to be desperately missed. Now, when I played for Leicester, Kasper was there as well, and it was in the early days, and Kasper was the one that galvanised the squad. He was the one that got everybody pulling in the right direction and working for the same thing at the same time. And without him in there, and the way they finished the season last season, you'd be silly to think otherwise, other than a really difficult start to the season, especially if there's no new additions.
Okay, well, look, you are actually on prediction duty for us today, aren't you, Jermaine? So you're slightly giving away what you're thinking for this one.
Am I, though?
And so has Darren, to be fair. We'll see those at the end